Yo, what's happening, guys? It is Wednesday, January 29th, the last Wednesday of the new year of January. What am I trying to say here? We're off to a great start. I appreciate you all joining in. Go check audio levels. If you guys in the chat could give me an A-OK or a thumbs up in the chat, let me know how we're sounding. I think we're sounding all right. Looks like we're sounding okay. Appreciate you all tuning in as you filter in. I'm debating on getting doing like an intro video of sorts, get some different music playing, that sort of thing. But we're gonna go over a few things tonight. Number one, we're gonna recap the Villain Arts Philly Tattoo Festival. We are going to talk about what my life is going to look like over the next couple of weeks. Some things that are coming up within the next couple months that are coming down the pike that you might want to be made aware of and the likes thereof. But first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button and subscribe, all that good stuff, please do that. I do this every Wednesday. Get different artists on here, just talk shop. I usually got James hanging out, sketching the beast. Definitely want to give him a follow too. But let's jump into it. The Villain Arts Tattoo Festival. I'm gonna do my best to do a little screen share here. One of the things that I am not, I don't know, privy to simply because I'm not a huge sports fan, is that I was unaware that there's a championship going on in Philadelphia, of all places. Yo, what's up, Mikkel? What is happening? Good to see you in the chat. You gonna be at MegaCon coming up here soon? Did you what? And did you watch the Phillies game? Because I didn't. They were making announcements throughout the weekend as to what was going on with said game. But it definitely affected the show. Don't get me wrong, Friday was a pretty typical Friday. Saturday was busy, but then Sunday, I don't know, it started to clear out around 3:00. And people were watching the game. And if you look, I don't know if I can make this bigger. Get out of here. Advertisement. Share this tab. It was chaos. I'm not sure where the convention center is in this picture. It's probably not even in this picture. But the side of the building that people would normally use as like the quick escape to like go load their cars out the elevator instead of using the loading dock, that whole street was parade. There was no sneaking out of this venue. Luckily, we got out without incident and ended up having a decent show all around. If you're not totally familiar with conversations I've had about the tattoo shows in the past, you got to get settled in. It's a long haul show. Comic Cons are very fast paced, lots of transactions going on, that sort of thing. Villain Arts people are shopping, they're hanging out, they're catching the vibe of a tattoo show. So Friday, like I said, was pretty average for a Friday. Saturday, there were so many people in there. But all in all, I would say that Philly seems to be a pretty pretty hurting market. What's up? Yeah, gonna be at the MegaCon. It's my first time doing MegaCon, so we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. We got James hanging out in the chat. We'll bring him in. Mikkel, if you ever want to jump on here and hang out and chat, would love to have you on here. I could send you the link. Have you chatted up about what's going on in the art world. James, I just brought you in here. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
I'm just hanging out.
Rock on, man.
You know, it's Wednesday. It's weird because I don't have to be on the road tomorrow.
Yeah, that is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Makes for an interesting stream.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in a time warp since this weekend, man. We got out of the tattoo shows go till 8:00.
Oh.
And they don't care if you leave early. There's no penalty. I'll send you a link here. Can you send me your email, Mikkel, in a Instagram message?
There you go.
And then I'll send you the link. Actually, I could just send it to you in a message. Let me stop sharing the screen here so I'm not compromising the old stream. But yeah, we they don't care if you leave early. You know how some Comic Cons they'll kick you out if you
Yeah.
like, or they'll ban you from coming back if you leave early.
Oh, I've never had that happen, but yeah. Yeesh.
There's some that will actually they'll fine you and you can't come back and do another show until you pay the fine.
What?
For real.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, do a little invite here. So me and my buddy Brandon, he was helping me out that weekend. We were talking since we found out that the Phillies were playing, or not the Phillies, the Eagles were playing. We were like, maybe we should leave early Sunday. Show isn't as salesy as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And we're like, it was just got to the point where we're like, screw it, we'll leave at 8. That city. Have you been to Philly?
Yes.
Yeah, you've been to that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, I've been.
I recall now. It was a couple years ago I saw you there, down there in Artist Alley.
Yes.
That whole convention center on the outside where you would normally like exit to like leave out to the street.
Yeah.
Packed with people Sunday.
Oh wow.
Luckily, the that loading ramp, I don't know if you used the loading ramp there to get in? It goes up to like the second story.
No, I don't think I did. I think I used my little trolley and came into the front or whatever.
If you could do it that way, that's the way to do it, because that ramp takes forever to get to.
No, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep, yeah, no, and not to leave, I didn't do, but to load in, I did. To leave, I definitely did not.
No, no, if you can avoid it, you definitely want to avoid it.
Yeah.
The good news is that ramp is on the back half of the building, so we got out just before that parade really started, so we were able to kind of navigate our way over there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got out without too much of an incident, but it got really dicey for a minute. All the roads were jammed up and people cutting each other off, and
that's the worst.
Yeah, I think I'm just done with Philly for a while.
Yeah, dude. After Fan Expo, and then Fan Expo, no, I did another show there. I feel like I don't know. I for whatever reason I don't do well in Pennsylvania. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think part of it is just the economy there. I think they are. Well, I know for a fact. Last time I was there, it was actually Fan Expo last year.
Yeah,
I was talking to the one of the bartenders at Maggiano's, classic Italian joint, very good.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying like everything there in Philly is roughly double.
Oh,
like
wow.
If you need to go get toiletries, Jersey, a stick of deodorant's $5 or $6. You go into Philly, it's 9 or 10, easy.
Yeesh.
Yeah. So, but it looks like we got Mikkel joining in. Mikkel, I'm going to bring you in on board. Can you hear us, Mikkel?
I can hear you now. Is it going to be better to have the audio going through my phone? Am I going to echo, or is it going to be better having it go through my computer?
I could hear you just fine.
Sound great.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got really good audio canceling. So I was actually kind of surprised when we had Matt Slay on here before. Like there was no echo whatsoever.
Okay.
So what you working on?
I am trying to finish this Jinx up before MagicCon. I literally started it on Monday night, and I have been working on her, trying to finish her up because Ella's supposed to be there next week. So I'm like, fuck.
Who is?
The voice actress for her.
Oh.
So I've been trying to finish her. I'm gonna add this base layer of this marker down and then add some really cool glowy effect to her. Get her scanned in, and then try and make some prints.
There you go. What kind of markers are you using?
Mainly I'm using Copics, but I have been supplementing with these chromas. I got a set of chromas like 3 years ago, and they've been amazing. They're finally starting to dry out, but they've been really good supplementals. So I always recommend them because they're so cheap compared to the Copics.
Yeah, Copics are a arm and a leg investment.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. You know what? You can get them on Amazon right now on a pretty good steep discount. You just gotta wait a couple weeks.
The Copic?
Really?
Yeah. You can get the 72 set right now for $125. It's the cheapest I've ever seen it ever. I was gonna pull the trigger on it myself because I need a couple. I have a couple of my markers are dried out and they need some refills. I was like, ooh, that's really tempting. Really tempting.
Yeah.
No, I kind of changed up the game. I'm only using, for the most part, when it comes to Copics, the grayscales now. So I only have to worry about refilling like 6 markers instead of hundreds.
That's the way to do it.
But then I see the really awesome color that you're doing there, Mikkel, and I'm like, well, maybe I should start using the other ones again.
I am just trying to get better with color. That has been my goal, to just get better with color, because I've never been a color artist, and I'm trying so freaking hard, man. I have messed up so much lately on so many pieces because I am trying so hard that I think I'm forcing it sometimes, but man, I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, it definitely helps when you're like for commissions and stuff, having that under your tool belt.
Yeah.
You charge a little extra.
Yep.
But I feel like whatever extra I charge, I end up spending on refills and more effing markers.
Yeah.
Mikkel, have you met James before?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's funny because you guys have definitely been at the same conventions in the past.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, I have this terrible resting bitch face, so people don't come up to me.
Nice.
If you've ever seen anyone disgruntled at a convention, James, it might have been Mikkel.
Yeah, I'm not actually mad. It's just my face.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Which. Yeah, I guess that's yeah. I'm James. I'm AKA Sketching the Beast.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very short and I'm covered in tattoos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you see me, stop me. I'm not in a bad mood. That's just my face.
Nice.
Sometimes she's in a bad mood, so it's kind of a surprise when you go up. You don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's the lottery.
Let's see. I'll share. Let's see. I'm always clicking on the wrong tabs on here. I'm going to try to share your stuff here. That's the wrong one.
That's Big Lick Con.
Here we go. Here's Mikkel's artwork.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's some really good realism. I don't know how I didn't see this finished Helldivers. This is sweet.
Oh yeah, I've just finished that one.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't enjoy doing color on big scale by any means. And what are you working on there? That's like 18 by 24, isn't it?
This one is 14 by 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still very big.
Biggie.
Yeah. One of the things we were talking about a little bit, James and I, before we got the show going today, was just what the hell we're going to talk about tonight. And I think talking about commissions in general is a good start. Is etiquette when it comes to commissions and that whole thing. Like ideally, I guess we'll start with you, James. Like ideally, like how do you see an ideal transaction going down with a commission?
So like someone's at a show and they're coming up to me and asking for a commission.
Sure.
So it's funny because I have very mixed, people coming up to me. It's very, very mixed. It's very, very different, very interesting. I think the easiest transactions is when they want your work. They're like, how much is it? And they're like, and you tell them, okay, I do. What are you looking for? And they explain what they're looking for. And then you tell them the price and they're like, great. That's the perfect transaction. a lot of people, you know, it's tough too because some people are like, oh wow, that's a lot. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you know, it's tough because you know you don't know what they're expecting. But yeah, I think the perfect transaction that comes in is the guy comes up to you and he's like, hey man, I would really like character so and so. I'd like it, you know, on a 9 by 12 piece or 11 by 17, whatever they're asking for. And I want to at least waist up. How much is that going to cost me? No color or color. What's the price difference between color and no color? Or do you do color? Right? You want to make sure you know you ask the right questions too. Because sometimes you can just make assumptions based on people's artwork, and then you know you could make the artist mad. And
That's never happened.
yeah, well, you know what? So I'll tell my experience about one. I've done a commission once afterwards. Um, and you know they ask you, and you tell them how much the price is, and then the transaction completes. You take their number down or their email or whatever they you know whatever they're willing to give, and then you go on from there. Um, I I actually had gotten a commission once from Ken Lashley, and Ken's a super talented dude. I don't know if either of you guys have ever met him before.
Can't say I
Uh,
have.
yeah, super talented dude. He lives in Canada, so I see him often. Actually, believe it or not, he comes to comic shops and stuff in my area. But I was at like Niagara Falls Comic Con in Canada. It was my first time doing a show there, and I'm like, I really want to get a commission from him because I'm like, he had just done, I think, Spider-Man 2099. Like they revamped it. So he did all the covers for them. So I was like, you know, I would love to get a piece from him. And so I went up to him, and so he's interesting because he's very much like what's your budget? And I'm like,
How much money can I get out of this guy?
yeah, right. So like I don't have any experience at this point. I have zero experience asking a professional artist, you know, someone who's been published and stuff like for a commission. So I was like,
I love that
I have
approach.
no
How much you
idea.
got?
Yeah, right. It's just, yeah, it's exactly. I mean, I think it's kind of genius, right? In a way, but it does make the transaction that much more difficult. He's like, so he's like, you know, he's like, what's your budget? And I'm like, I'm an artist here at the show, and I'm not doing well. 300? You know what I
I'm
mean?
more like the dollar menu right now, Ken. What
Right.
can we do?
Yeah, I'm like, I would like to walk home with a profit and still potentially get something from you, but that might not be doable. So so I explained to him what I was looking to accomplish. I'm like, I'd like to commission a bunch of professional artists to use as reference pieces that I can hang up on my wall and just like have all this inspiration everywhere. But I would like them big enough that I could see them, you know, from my workstation. So I'm like, you know, how much would you what can I get and how much would you charge for 11 by 17? Like, and I was like maybe like 350 ish. And he's like, well, my 9 by 12 commissions, you know, start at, you know, usually around this. Or he's like, he pointed at something he was working on. And I'm like, oh, I'm like,
We're
dude, I
talking
don't.
hundreds of dollars? Or are we talking?
So like 350 was like his base price for like, you know, a 9 by 12, just like pencil, I
No,
think.
that sounds
I'm
about
like,
right.
yeah, and I'm like, oh, dude. I said, I mean, max I could do is like 450. I mean, is that something that we could talk about? I mean, even if it's just a pencil sketch on 11 by 17, I'm okay with that. And I'm like, you know, I'm just like I said. So I kind of reiterated like, you know, I'm an artist and I'm looking to get like super good at my craft, and I just, you know, you're one of the influences that I've seen and I've been working off of recently. And he's like, all right, we'll do that. We'll do it. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I gave him the 450.
You empty out the change drawer. Here you go.
Yeah, dude, I
Yeah.
was like, all right, let me go back to my table. I gotta go
Yep.
get another $100, $200. Um, and he so he started on the commission later that day. I think he had a couple others he was working on ahead of me. But dude, by next day, man, he had knocked it out of the park, bro. I had popped over once. I had popped over once to like walk by to see like, you know,
Scope it out a little.
yeah, I was bored, you know what I mean? It wasn't the greatest show in the universe. I wasn't doing awful, but I wasn't doing great. So like I popped over, and he's like, get out of here. So I popped in much later in the day, and yeah, so no, it was really cool, man. And he knocked out the part. Actually, have it right here. I can show you guys. Let's see, where's my camera? There it is.
Hey,
So he did that.
that turned out great.
Yeah, it turned out amazing. So yeah, he did that for me, and like he had just a tad bit of color.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he killed it. So he's like, notice how I didn't really put details in the hand, but like he's kind of pointing out some of the shorthand stuff he does, and I'm like, that's sweet, dude. Thank you
Very
so much.
nice.
So I was super appreciative, and like, so he went above and beyond for what I paid, you know what I mean, or versus what he would usually charge. So I was like, super happy.
Yeah.
But that was my first experience. So it was like, it was actually kind of awkward because I'm like, I don't even know, man. I don't know what. Like, how much should I give you?
Yeah, right. What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
Dave, what? I'll ask you, Dave, while you're hanging out in the chat here. We're talking commissions. Have you had positive interactions in the past getting commissions done? Like, what's your take, man? Anyone in the chat, if you want to chime in too. Mikkel, have you ever commissioned somebody to draw something for you?
No, I have not. I actually have been. I keep telling Tristan that I really want to, and then I keep like something comes up, and then I forget. But Tristan is probably going to be this year is probably going to be one of my very first ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm terrified of commissions. Every time I get one, I'm always like, it's like my very first time getting a commission. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do?
Gotta learn how to draw. I'll be back.
Yeah, kind of like, what do I do? I'm still just absolutely floored by the fact that people want to pay me to draw something. And honestly, like I'm kind of scaling them back this year. Last year I did so many of them that it kind of was sort of a burnout for me, that this year I'm scaling them back just a little bit. I'll do them for like commission heavy shows, like, I mean, hopefully I'm waiting for confirmation, but I think I'm going to be in Heroes Con, which is a commission heavy show for me. So I'll still do them at that one, but a lot of the other ones, I think I'm actually going to cut back quite a bit on them. And that's just because it just got to a point where I was getting so stressed out by them. Last year was the very first year that I actually had somebody unhappy with a commission, and it just, it took the wind out of my sails. Now, in my defense, and I'm my own worst critic, so I really think that in this situation, the person that was unhappy with their commission expected something absolutely not realistic. When when we had discussed what they wanted, it was not something that would have been possible, given what size I was doing it on and what I was given and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up doing a much larger piece to replace it. They got more work out of me than what they paid for, but to replace it. But it was the first time I'd ever had somebody unhappy with what they did, and it just took the wind right out of my sails. And after that, I was sort of just like, all right, maybe I need to take a step back. And honestly, I've taken a step back, and I've been doing bigger projects just like this, where I feel like I sort of want to draw it myself. And it's made me a lot happier, to be honest. And sales have been up. And I think it's because you can tell I'm doing more passion projects. So like, case in point was my big BioShock Big Daddy. Actually, I have a sample print right next to me. So like this big BioShock Big Daddy that I did earlier this year. This was like something that I just felt like drawing. This is my favorite video game series. I wanted to draw it. I did it. The actual drawing is 18 by 24. It's huge. And I drew it and I loved it. And it is sold like crazy all year. And then I did like
really cool.
I did all of these Fallout ones this year just because I felt like it, and these ones have been selling like crazy. So it's sort of been like, I took a step back from commissions, but I started taking on bigger, more ambitious projects, and it kind of has paid off for me. So it was scary not turning them down. but in the end, it's been paying off. So it's sort of like, well, it's scary to not to do them, but it's been paying off. So
Yeah. Say hi to the chat here real quick. Dave says doesn't really do shows or events anymore. He's our resident blacksmith, metallurgist, if you will. Metallurgist may not be the right word. I think that's the one who studied. Suppose you got to study metal if you're blacksmithing. All of the above. Dave is our resident Viking blacksmith here, and the cool thing was, I think that was Chicago. I could be mistaken. He actually made the little like Beskar ingots from Star Wars, from the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He was taking those up to different celebrities over there. It's very cool. And so you got a chance to chat with Kevin Smith back in October. And dude, if you could work with Kevin Smith,
you're in.
That's it, buddy.
Yeah, dude. That's cool.
What's up, Jay? Glad to have you in the chat, buddy.
Welcome back.
We're chatting artist stuff here tonight. Jay, I know you've gotten some commission work done. Do you have a favorite commission that you've had completed, or a on the flip side, a nightmare scenario? And Dave says we'll go with blacksmith. Absolutely, buddy. I'm fighting for words already. It's probably good I'm not driving to a show tomorrow. Dude, Philly kicked my ass, man. I think I got home at like 3:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I've been trying to work, but then like I'll just pass out for 3 hours. Just like catching up on sleep and stuff. It's been rough.
Yeah.
But so I've only had a couple commissions that I've gotten done by some other folks. I was trying to do, there's no way I'm going to be able to find it right now. I was trying to do for a charity piece. I don't know if you guys have seen this, where they make the Wonder Woman sketch covers that the entire book is blank.
Oh, yeah.
You seen that?
I have the Batman of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I had this ambition that I was going to get that book filled with commissions by different artists and then auction it off to give to charity.
Yeah.
And I think I've only got 2 or 3 commissions in there.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get very far.
It
adds up quick.
Yeah.
And I was telling the artist at the time, I'm like, hey, I'm not asking for favors because I don't know when I'm going to get around to selling this thing, but like, this is what it is. You don't have to go all out. What can you do for $100, $150?
Yeah.
And got some really good stuff out of it. So
nice.
if I can find that, I will. Jay says, yeah, I did that Belle Delphine Gwen cover for you. That was the first time I've drawn an e-girl cosplaying as a Spider Gal Gwen. I was real happy with how that one turned out. Definitely using those sketch Copic markers definitely helped. He says he's got some from Garza and Marissa Pope.
Nice.
And I do appreciate that, Jay. Absolutely, man. I will be having an opportunity here soon. I'm going to have a Kickstarter launching in, March for that Alice in Slaughterland. And there will be a commission option on there. I'm learning. This is my favorite way to do commissions. It's super simple. Everybody that's gotten one from me has had nothing but positive things to say. But on Kickstarter, you just have it as an option that they can buy, 9x12 or 11x17, black and white or color. And they just have a spot to put what character they want.
Nice. Yeah, there you go.
It's super simple. It's paid for up front. They trust me enough that I get it done for them, and it works.
You'll be busy.
Yeah.
You are all like, I like watching you work at your booth is like insane. I'm so slow, and you are just so good at. I have no idea how you work so fast, so well. Just watching you, like everything is so meticulous when you sketch stuff out, and I'm like, I can't work that fast. I'm not that good at all working fast. I think that's one of the reasons that I stress out so much over commissions is because I'm so slow at doing them. So
I appreciate that. I attribute it to 2 things. One was watching Jim Lee. and then like trying to pace myself with him. Because he'll do a complete piece in an hour and a half,
Yeah.
full page.
Yeah, he's nuts.
And then the other was Ryan Benjamin. You ever watch him do his like 20-minute head sketches?
No.
Took classes with the guy. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
level.
he what he can do in 20 minutes, some artists couldn't do in hours, just because he commits to, I guess, the speed of the process and getting the energy in the lines. I might actually have something here real quick. I was trying to follow along. He did a video series with Proco. And I think if you just do, you know what, maybe we'll pull it up here. Maybe we'll pull it up and we'll watch in the background because we have that ability.
There you go.
He does a head sketch of Batman and let's see, Ryan Benjamin. I think it's Superheroes Drawn Quick. What's the name of it?
It's something.
Sketching Superheroes Fast.
Yeah, there.
All right.
Real cool video, right?
Let me do a little screen share here.
Yeah, Ryan's very impressive, and yeah, he's all about the energy. It's one of the biggest critiques he gives in the classes is, just throw the lines, just throw them. Don't be afraid, because worst case you're gonna have to erase afterwards.
Exactly.
Right.
He so this, I believe there's no major cuts in here other than I think they might do like a mid. Yeah, I think they do like a mid shot, like advertisement. But there was one afternoon where I followed this guy. I just did like 4 Batman head sketches in a row, just following him. And I encourage anybody, if you want to get faster with your process, watch this video. But he goes in with the does he still talk about this using the red pencil for his underdrawing?
He does sometimes. I don't in the class. I don't see him use a red pencil, but he does everything digital in the classes.
Gotcha. So he talks about the red pencil here, that he likes it for a couple of reasons. One is he's selling a sketch, so he wants to have elements of like the artistic process there. Some people use the non-photo blue. He likes to use the red. He thinks it pops more. Then he'll go in, he'll add in some of the details with pencil. And then pretty much once he gets the face kind of outlined and the eyes there, he starts launching right in with pens. And there's something I learned with this. I think he's doing Daredevil, judging by it's either a Daredevil or a Unicorn Man. One spike coming. Is that for a lot of these artists that are drawing quick, they're really only using maybe a couple poses tops for their commissions. Like, you'll probably even notice this with David Finch when he does his Monday night draws or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times as a superhero with one leg up on a rock, kind of looking like Captain Morgan, almost always at the same angle.
You have Captain and you.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's skip ahead a little bit. But yeah, that's all the more pencil detail he has, just kind of where some of the shading's going to go. And he goes right in with these brush pens. And
this is insane.
Let's see. Let's skip ahead a little. Well, even skipping ahead a little, he just he goes in with these giant fat Sharpies, man.
Yep.
I tried doing this at a couple cons, and I was getting complaints left and right about that Sharpie stinking up everything.
Yeah, they do stink, dude. Yeah.
It was one of those things, I got used to it pretty quick, but I think it's like, if you're the one using it, you don't mind as much, but everybody
just get a whiff of it. You're like, oh.
Yeah. Which, by the way, this guy that's in the background that does the watercolor drawings, super cool dude. I've met him at Lexington. Levi something or other.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But watching this video and Jim Lee in particular really helped me with just committing to throwing down those shapes and those lines.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
Ryan's he's crazy to watch.
Let's see. He's actually, I think he's going to do 2 in this video. Yeah, he does too. He does a Daredevil and in 20 minutes. He does 2 head sketches.
Mm-hmm. That's how fast we all need to be. Yeah, he talked about in one show he got a bunch of commissions at a show he was at, and he's like, I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna see if I can break my record for head sketches, and I think he did like 60 head sketches or something like that in a day. It was insane. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Here's some of my practice ones that I did. These have not left the studio because they're kind of rough, but like old Batman, he's using that giant Sharpie.
There you go.
Another Batman. This one's angrier. More of a solemn bat. I didn't like the way this was going, so I didn't commit to the whole thing. But that's I don't know. This one was playing around with more of using a Jim Lee approach to ink with like the tissue paper.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think this one was kind of technically the best. I still don't like it though. These are all just practice sketches. These are intent.
Practice sketches, and for me, I feel like I'd kill somebody to be able to just like, you know.
Well, 20 minutes, and it's like I just committed to like I'm gonna stay on track with Ryan and try to match his speed and what he's doing.
Yeah,
And
that's a good good practice to get your speed up there. Dave always says practice on the quality and the speed will come. But I think you need to have those set exercises, like if you're doing gestures and stuff, or gestures, however you can pronounce it.
the gestures.
When you're doing your gestures, you know what I mean? Like, you know, giving yourself that limited time, I think really helps your brain kind of develop that speed, that eye hand coordination as you're going. And that's those types of exercises I think are helpful when you're just like, okay, I'm 5 minutes. Let's see how fast, see what I can get accomplished in 5 minutes. Go crazy. But because it's tough, because when you're drawing comics, if you ever want to draw comics for like Marvel and DC, you got to be doing a page a day at least. And that's if you want to kind of feed yourself. If you want to feed yourself beyond that, you're going to be doing more than 1 page a day.
Right.
That's what I mean. Some of these guys that tell me how long they take to do 1 page, it's like I think back to a previous conversation we had when it comes to penciling. Like if you're going in there and you're cross-hatching everything you expect your inker to cross-hatch, it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
But here's one. This is Jay Scott, and it's the same idea. He's just doing a head sketch. You can see he's a little bit more meticulous. Lines are a little bit cleaner because they kind of have to be with doing more like pinup style stuff. But I learned a lot watching him too. He just talks about his line placement, like as far as his guidelines go. And really just putting a process to it. And pretty much all of his head sketches, if he's just doing a commission, that's the same pose, it's the same angle. He's just in there to crank out the work.
Yeah.
Do it consistent. So yeah, I've got a few like go-to poses for like sketch covers and stuff. I try to change them up to keep them interesting. But
yeah, I'm the kind of I guess the complete opposite. I try to make it different, unique, and challenging for myself in some way every time I do a commission. It's always a little bit different. It's always actually quite different. If I can, right? I guess if it's a headshot, there's not a ton of different ways you can do a headshot. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I feel like, I guess maybe because I'm just a little guy, right? And it's not like I get commissions every day. But when I do commissions, I want it to be like, whoa, that's impressive. You know what I mean? So maybe I think I overdo it a little bit, but yeah.
No. I definitely felt that early on. I was really forcing myself to make every single thing unique. And at the end of the day, most of these people that are collecting our commissions are never going to see the other commissions that we do.
That's true.
So I think it clicked in particular with Ryan, because like Jim Lee, every single one that he does, they're almost always unique. Like each one of those hour-and-a-half drawings that he does could be a cover for something.
Yeah.
When I saw a bunch of his sketches back to back, and they were all sort of that same, like, I don't know if it's 3/4 turn or like a 2/3 turn of the head, right around there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I still want them all to be unique. I still want them all to have, I'm going to take time with all of them. But if I just need to execute on something that looks really good, I'm just going to default to one of the poses that I know works. That way I don't overthink it.
Yeah.
But
it's easier for you to do fast too because you've done it 100 times. You don't have to put a ton of thought into it. And then you don't get that. And I guess that's another thing too is a lot of people may not know this is as artists we suffer from decision fatigue very quickly. Some people not so fast as others, but when we have to think about what's going into a piece from scratch, you do it a couple of times and you get very worn out mentally very quickly. Depending on how much you're doing that day, but that's another thing it goes into it at shows and stuff. You not only got to deal with people and you're doing commissions and all this other stuff. So like at the end of the day, you're wiped, man. But it's still a lot of fun. I think it's one of the best parts about being an artist personally is I love shows. But
yeah,
wish I could do more. But.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dave. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have stayed the same since then. I'm like constantly trying to find the next thing that works and adjust things and make things better. And it usually costs money. So it's like as soon as the money comes in, it goes out.
Yep.
But so you've got Jinx you're working on here. Are there any other pieces that you're trying to get done by MegaCon, or is this the big one?
My last one for MegaCon. I've got to take my kid out to Detroit on Friday, so that'll shoot my Friday, and then I've still got to get a bunch of printing done. So my weekend is probably going to be all printing, and then I'm actually driving down, so I have to leave on Tuesday. So this is my last one. That's why I was trying to really push her to get her done, because like I said, Ella's going to be there and I wanted to have her and the Helldivers piece done. And I'm lately I have been trying to do a lot more digital color correction, because when I get them scanned, the bright light just washes everything out, all the darks, all my contrast gets washed out. These bright lights wash them out anyway, but so I've been trying to do a lot more of the digital color correction and stuff like that. So once I get it scanned in tomorrow, I'll have to sit down and play with her just to make sure that it's really, really popping. And then I just realized that my bright neon paint marker is not fine. I grabbed the wrong one when I bought it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know. Sadness. So I'll have to buy another one. So I might have to actually just do that digitally too. That's so sad.
No,
I'm like really upset
I've made
about
that same mistake with Poscas.
Yeah. Because I was gonna do a bright pink over on this side, and actually darken up some of the shadows on this side. But it's too big, and I don't want it to be that big. So darn it.
Yeah, it's always trying to find out, like what you're talking about, doing like that rim light to kind of separate her. I wonder if doing a more contrasty color from the pink, like a teal almost.
Yeah, I thought maybe just actually just a big bright white, but then teal might look really good too.
I tend to use teal if I like to do a contrasting from whatever the background is.
Oh my god, here.
Even if it doesn't actually make sense with the lighting. But yeah, Dave, I'm actually trying to rethink how I'm doing turtles moving forward. I have so much turtle stuff. It's definitely been good to me. I think I might have a new model moving forward. We'll see. I got to run through the inventory I currently have before I make any major changes. But I might be doing a hard reboot on a lot of what I'm doing.
Oh
I'll
man.
show you. Sorry, I had to take my headphones off for a second. Hey, Mikkel, you know that canvas printer I got?
Mm-hmm.
I taught myself how to wrap canvas boards.
There you go.
So I
Nice.
think that might be. I've been doing this the last couple shows, selling these like 10 by 20s,
Oh,
and they have been a hit.
oh, awesome.
So
That turned out cool.
thank you. It's a lot of work.
You're wrapping them yourself?
Yeah.
Fuck all that.
They yeah. It's funny because like I have to completely rearrange my workstation up here. Like it's an absolute disaster right now. So I'm trying to get,
Mine too.
let's see, 36 more of these printed and stretched and wrapped pretty much before this weekend.
Are you bringing them to MegaCon?
Yep. But the fun part is, so I've got Big Lick this weekend down in Roanoke. So instead of driving back from Roanoke, I'm just going to make my way down towards Orlando.
Okay.
So I think I've got an extra night in Roanoke, maybe. I can't remember. And I'm getting in a day early, maybe 2 days early down in Orlando. So I ended up scoring a pretty cheap resort too. It's like $120 a night walking distance. Like
Yeah, well, yeah, I did the same thing. I got one super, super cheap down there, and I'm just gonna walk.
yeah.
I have to do something similar for Dallas and Phoenix Fan Fusion. They're right after each other basically, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna drive back to Michigan to then drive back to Phoenix. So I'm just driving from Dallas to Phoenix. I'm just gonna stay extra in Phoenix. And I figure I'll just bring some stuff to draw with and get some work done at the hotel and take advantage of the gym and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I applied for Phoenix fan fusion, and yeah, I'm waiting to hear maybe somebody will drop out. But I think I'm on the wait list for that one. I wanted to find a show out there in Arizona somewhere because I would like to spend some time. My family lives in Arizona. So I figured that would be kind of a cool opportunity to do a show and hang out with the family, that week or whatever, the weekend or the week after. But so far, no luck.
right, so last year I did it, and I was tucked away, dude, in this awful in the maker's corner. So I was in by these crochet booths, and I was tucked away in this tiny little inline, which I have so much crap now. So I usually get a corner. And so it was just I was super cramped. And the guy next to me, he thought I was going to steal from him. He kept telling his wife, who was right next to me, and he wasn't even lowering his voice. He kept saying, well, the lady next to us might take stuff. So they kept packing up their entire booth. And I was kind of floored by it. I was like, I'm not going to steal any of your stuff, dude. But yeah, I was tucked away in this, in the maker's corner, and it was still shoulder to shoulder traffic. So if you can get in, definitely get in. It's super huge. And stuff like that. And I managed to get back in, this year because I re-upped. But I got a better spot. So definitely, if you can get in, send them an email and just be like, hey, just checking to see if somebody dropped out, and because it was really good. It was worth the trip for sure, and especially if you can save on hotel and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just stay with my family. It might still be an hour drive to where I gotta go, but they're not that far.
I just like that the guy next to you's like, watch out for this angry chick with all these tattoos trying to steal our stuff.
Right,
It's the
all
resting bitch face.
5 foot of her,
Susan's-
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. You know what? It's so funny. It's so funny to me that that a fellow vendor would be worrying about another vendor stealing stuff. Like, what am I gonna do with your stuff that I'm gonna steal? Like,
Dude, if something disappears though, it's like it's either random passerby or the person that's been right next to you the whole time.
right, yeah.
Right.
No, I've heard some stories. There seems to be a little bit more of that stuff going around at some shows, which
Now,
is
there-
sad to hear. But
It was Philly last year, man. I had the booth across from me. It was one guy running it. It was a tattoo show. There's one guy running it, but he was constantly having tattoo artists like bouncing in and out. It's like a t-shirt vendor,
Mhm.
and they're all buddies, so they would just come behind his booth and they would do whatever. I don't know. Well, apparently at some point he completely left his booth unattended, and he comes back freaking out that something was missing from his bag. And he's like, it's not any of the merch on the tables. He's like, someone specifically took this thing out of my, he wouldn't say what it was, so I can only assume it was his Pokemon collection. I have no idea how valuable it was, but it must have been important. But when like everybody that was coming to his booth, like all his buddies kept mean mugging me and my buddy Brandon, and I'm like, they were
yeah, what
Right.
would I be rifling through your stuff for, dude? Like,
he kept like, I don't know, the way he kept talking to us. I'm like, dude, go check the security cameras. Neither of us left this booth and walked across the aisle, found your backpack with your Pikachus,
yeah,
and he came back later with a completely different tone. He actually watched the video, and it was some dude in a black hoodie, and they couldn't identify him. So
yikes.
if you've ever been to a tattoo show, you know that the whole place is just swarmed with people wearing black hoodies. So good luck.
Yikes.
But, did I want to ask you, Mikkel, have you ever watched Line Sensei, how he does his post processing for color?
No, I did watch a couple of Jim Lee's videos after you recommended, and I just haven't watched any in a while. But no, I haven't watched any of Line Sensei's posts. No.
Gotcha. I'll show you a little bit here. Dave, stay safe, man. We'll see you around. I don't know for certain how I'm doing a show next week because I will be on the road. If I have decent internet, I will get a show going. If not, I might just have next week off. Be cool to do like a live from MegaCon video.
Should do it.
I just don't know what time we get out, and I'm probably going to be hangry. Yeah, so we'll see. I got to figure that one out. Let's see. Add instant. This is like, I studied the hell out of this video when it came to doing. He calls it post processing, but this is his whole process for coloring with shading. And I feel like I jumped 3 steps forward with especially my digital coloring, but then even when I do traditional coloring too.
Oh yeah, you know what? I did watch this.
What's up, Loft?
Yo, what's up, brother? What
Because
is
we
up?
talked about this a little bit too, because we were talking about how you make the brightest points where you want the eye to be drawn to.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I did watch this. We talked about it a little bit with your slaughter dolls too,
Yes.
because I watched a little bit of your process with it.
Yeah. This, I think, these last couple, where he's doing the saturation layer and then like blurring it and then adding noise, that would
Yeah.
probably really help with the your original markers.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, doing like the like copy the layer, oversaturate it, blur it, add noise, and then set it to screen. And then back down the opacity. I know I just threw a lot out there, but I think that step of the process, as well as doing like the gradient layer, a gradient map. I think that would help you out a lot with the markers,
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
taking out the streaky stuff.
Yeah, this is what I hate right here. This stuff. This is what I usually just try and fix in digitally.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also been getting a kick out of using like copy and paste the layer. So you've got a whole new like canvas to work with. And then doing perspective blur. And then adding that chromatic aberration. And then softening up, like erasing around like the face and any details you want to look at. I don't know if I've got anything pulled up where I could show that, but I don't know.
I can't comment. I don't do any of my colors. I'm just kidding. I do some of them, but it's very. You can tell the difference between my stuff and someone I pay to do.
I've actually like been really forcing myself to get better with coloring.
Yeah.
Mainly so I don't have to pay somebody else.
Yeah,
But-
that's kind of where I'm landing too. The colorist that I was kind of enjoying working with finally, she got a gig at a studio. So I'm kind of like back to square one with where I'm at with colorist wise. I'm sure she's got some time and she could squeeze me in if I really wanted her to. But yeah, it's kind of in the same vein, right? Like I'm not really in the greatest position financially right now to be like dropping $100 on a colorist. So yeah, I think my new process is definitely going to be doing my own colors for a lot of my stuff. And that, but paying somebody to do the flats, 'cause that's the most time consuming part of the whole.
Takes
process.
forever.
Yeah.
Takes forever. Chris, are you going to be down there at MegaCon? I can't remember. I know you posted your schedule, but I've seen like 5 different schedules from people. I can't remember who's where. Hell, I don't remember where I'm supposed to be half the time.
I've heard good things about MegaCon. I've heard some people don't do well, but I think that's more of the type of things that they're doing at the show, kind of thing.
Yeah, results will vary at every show.
Yeah.
We'll see you down there, my man.
Yeah, I watched a couple of videos on. I've been looking for more shows to do, so I've been watching some videos that other people are doing their shows. There's really not enough
Hey, Chris.
of people being like recording their, how they're doing at the show, and they don't even have to talk about like financially, like just a thumbs up or a thumbs down as far as did you make table or and beyond or no, right?
No.
But yeah, no, I've been watching a couple videos, and some of them, MegaCon was one of those that kind of stuck out. So, but yeah, it's just funny. There's not enough like comic artists like us doing videos on YouTube about different shows.
Well, it seems to me like the vast majority of comic artists that travel and do a lot of shows are more or less the guests that are invited. And for them, it's like they're typically, they don't have to pay for the booth. Sometimes they don't have to pay for hotels. Sometimes they don't have to pay for travel, depending on where they are in the tier.
Right.
Hell, I know I had one buddy that had like meals comp, travel comp, everything was comped. And all he had to do was show up and however he makes it, right? And that's where it falls down to like, okay, so if you're flying in, you can't necessarily bring a ton of stuff with you. That's why you see these guys that are doing commissions all the time, trying to get as many done in a weekend.
Yep.
But they have a natural built-in following.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of the other artists that travel and do a lot of shows, call it the 20 to 30 a year. I mean, we're all over the spectrum. I mean, you got like, Mikkel, you do a lot of realistic stuff, stylistic stuff, dark stuff. And then you got like our buddy Chris that's in the chat who does a lot of cryptids and stuff. And then we've got like Kevin, the bearded artist that does like super realistic, pencil drawings. We're kind of all over and we really can't compare one to the next how we're going to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes it kind of hard.
Yeah, it is such a different mixed bag. But I mean, yeah, it is tough, right? You can only speak to how you do versus how somebody else is going to do, right? So everyone's experience is gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna vary based on, are you social? Do you have your together? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like stuff like that. Like, did you bring everything you needed?
Well, I've seen some people that show up to shows and they've got 20, 30, 40,000 people following them on Instagram. They could put up a picture of a sticky note and they get thousands of likes. And they go down Artist Alley and they're like, this is miserable. Why am I here?
Yeah.
So it is completely subjective, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Yep.
Hey, if you want to join the conversation, man, I can get you a link if you want to jump in. Just let me know. I'll send you a link.
Up on in.
We're just hanging out and chatting. But yeah, Big Lick. It's a 2-day show. I'm really looking forward to it. That's gonna be load in Friday, and then Saturday it starts off like first thing in the morning. I think I had it pulled up. Yeah, here we go. Let's see, share screen.
We're background entertainment.
Oh, I see that. All good, man. We'll keep you company while you're lifting weight. I was trying to come up with a cool thing to call working out. Something about pushing iron or something. I'm like, I don't know if that's weird. A Big Lick this weekend, man. JD puts on a heck of a show. Smaller than any fan expo you've done, for sure. But very affordable tables, awesome crowd that comes in. You get a lot of repeat people coming to the show that like come every year.
Oh, that's cool.
So you constantly kind of have to have new stuff going up.
Yeah, right. It's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah. But there's our buddy Matt. There he is.
Oh, there he is. So
Yeah. He's gonna have Sergeant Slaughter there. He's gonna have all the Ninja Turtle voice actors plus April O'Neil.
that's cool.
All kinds of people. And his brother, I think it's his brother, is he's like general manager or what his title is at the Marriott. So I missed the window to get the $90 rooms. They're normally like 150, 160.
Yeah, that sucks.
And they just do a giant after party every night after the show.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so I might have to find an Uber to go hang out because we tend to get a little carried away.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's never been like a high grossing revenue show. It's just always been solid because it's very affordable. They take care of us.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah, from there we driving down, man. We're driving down to MegaCon.
Is this your first MegaCon, Steve?
It is.
Is it?
I don't know. I've been very cautious about doing bigger shows. I don't know. Some of them seem like they're more trouble than they're worth.
Right.
But I've heard nothing but positive things about Mega. You're getting some love on your Jinx piece.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, Chris is digging it.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I met Chris in where was I just last? New Orleans.
There you go. How was New Orleans?
Oh, it was awful for me. It was terrible for me. The only good part for me was food. The food was fantastic. But yeah, it wasn't great for me at all. I don't know if it was just I wasn't very high energy or if I was kind of like in the very, very back of the room. But didn't do so hot. It was also the week right after that car plowed into everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I just didn't do well. And sometimes it's just not your show, you know?
Yep.
So I didn't do very well, but
I've heard I've only heard one of our artist friends that has had like amazing New Orleans shows. Most everyone says it's a very soft start to the year. I think there's a number of reasons why. I
I
don't.
mean, it is a January show. I
Yeah.
wasn't really expecting a ton out of it, to be honest, but I didn't do very well at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early year shows are rough. Even if you go to like crap shows and stuff locally,
Right.
it's tough too. So,
Yeah, that Minneapolis show, that tattoo show one I do is pretty solid. It's just I was talking to a buddy of mine. I'm like, if there's any major weather between here and there, which I mean, you're pretty much just driving along the Canadian border the whole time. um, yeah, like it can completely ruin the whole weekend.
Yep.
So I'm like heavily debating on if I'm going to keep doing that one. I think I've gotten very lucky the last few years. But then New Orleans, I hear so many mixed reviews on that one.
Yeah, I
So.
didn't do so hot at that one. I am going back to I'm going back in July for GalaxyCon. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to that because I wanted to catch some live music down there when the weather was nicer. So I'm looking at that one as more of a vacation in July.
They're doing a GalaxyCon in New Orleans?
Yeah, it's a new one. And I'm doing it because somebody told me if I do Galaxy Cons that they'll try and get me more into
The bigger ones.
Yeah.
Raleigh, Richmond.
Yep, which I am in on the perpetual wait list for.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm trying to get into GalaxyCon Columbus for next year, but I don't think they actually have the actual thing open yet.
They probably don't.
Yeah.
You can re-up when you're there, but Chris says we had a perfect storm talking about New Orleans with bad energy. Folks were still maybe broke for Christmas. Celebs canceled because their homes were aflame. Oh yeah, that was the thing.
yeah.
Probably is it still a thing? Are they still fighting fires there?
No, now it's mudslides.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, that whole thing with the that car attack, that terrorist attack, certainly did not help.
Yeah.
So
Also, it was a very I'm not trying to belittle anybody that lives in New Orleans. So if you're watching, I'm not trying to talk crap, but it was definitely an overwhelming feeling of when I told them prices. I didn't even finish what I was saying before they opened their eyes and walked away. And I think my prices are fairly competitive. So, I wasn't even able to finish my spiel.
Yeah,
that happens a lot. That happens a lot here for sure. It's so funny because I have friends that live on the west coast of the states, and they have a vastly different experience than like I do at shows I do. I mean, their shows are further spread out because there's more landmass between them, but yeah, it's very interesting. Like whereas here, like I sell more prints and stuff, and they're like, and of course we're different artists too, right? So that kind of has something to do with it. But a lot of them are always like, yeah, I always get commissions all the time. I'm getting commissions constantly. Prints. I have a hard time pushing prints, and then like over here, it's like prints are practically the only thing I sell, and like people don't do commission. Like people don't like commissions because it's like way too expensive for them. Whatever. It's so funny. It's just very funny. I feel like I would like to do a show on that side at some point where it's like maybe it'll be different.
Yeah, and it could just be, it could have been nothing other than just my style. Like it could have just been not, I just wasn't resonating with that group of people. Totally could have been nothing more than they just didn't like my art. It happens.
Yeah, and I go to shows where even though it's a Comic-Con, it's more an anime con, and they don't like comics are not as like exciting. So I mean I've had that experience too. It's like it's so different, right? Every area is different.
Every area is different. Yeah, I really don't advertise that I do commissions anymore. I don't know. It's like if I'm going to work on something at the show, I'd rather work on something I know I want to work on.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what she was saying too, right? Like your energy, you have a lot more energy into what you're doing when it's something you want to do versus something someone's paying you to do.
No.
Yeah, I would like to also stop doing commissions because I have a few on my list that I'm like, I really don't want to do them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
want
there's a handful of people, regulars at this point. Like I'd put Jay on there, I'd put Dave on there, I'd put buddy Ron. There's a handful of folks that consistently want to get commissions done by me.
Yeah.
And my buddy Robbie, I'm gonna see him, probably gonna see him this. If I don't see him, it'll be the first time. I've been to Roanoke several times, so I'll probably do something for Robbie too while I'm there. Those guys, without a doubt, it's like if they want something done, like we'll figure it out. I'll have it to them before the weekend's up.
That's cool.
But for the lay person walking by, it's like if I have my head down drawing, I'm not talking to people trying to sell stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. My mentality changed on that quite a bit because early on it was, we were talking about this last week. It was cram every commission in that I can. And when I first started, I was doing for $60 a piece for like a 9x12.
Yeah.
Giving it away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's pros and cons to commissions, right? It's practically, at least 95% profit when you do commissions, I guess, depending on the size and how much material it takes you to do your commissions. But so it's, the profit margins are there, but it's, again, it comes down to, time, what you're doing and all that sort of stuff. So it can be, commissions can be difficult. So I get that mentality too. I try not to, I like commissions are small on my thing. So like they're there. If people want to ask me, they're there for reference. But I usually tell people, like, unless it's a headshot, I'm gonna have to ship it to you later.
So yeah, I've seen what some other artists charge for what they're doing. And obviously if you're published, especially if you got a name, you can charge a lot more. I get it. Yeah. At the same time, I've had people come to my booth. Like I had two guys come up to me. I think it was at Baltimore. One wanted the last Ronin, the other one wanted Usagi Yojimbo.
Nice.
And they were so happy with how they turned out. And they're like, Steve, the amount that you charged versus what some of these comic pros are charging and what we got. The one dude's like, hands down, yours is our favorite commission that we've ever gotten.
Yeah, dude.
And you could easily charge way more. I'm like, but I'm not famous.
Well, yeah.
I'm not published.
You got to think of it too. Like it's like, you go to the store, you buy the brand name thing versus you buy the not brand name thing, and the not brand name thing is cheaper. The brand name thing is more expensive. It's kind of the same exact thing, really. You know what I mean? Like that's all it is. A lot of people just, I'm in a couple of Facebook groups where people like to buy commissions and stuff from, these big name artists. And, some people post, smaller artists on there too. But, it's just funny to me. It's like, oh, I paid $1,000 and it's like a scribble. I'm like,
it's a pencil head sketch on a, not on the backer board. The backer board sketches.
Oh yeah. Like that. Yeah. And it's weird to me. Like,
yeah. Well, what kills me though is that I'll have that guy that comes up and says that, they've been getting sketch covers done for years, and I charged them $150, and they're like, you could have charged us $600. I'm like, well, you could still give me $600 if you want.
yeah,
that deal's on the table. And then I'll get somebody that comes up and I'll tell them $150 or $175 or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And they're just like, that's pretty rich for my blood. It's like,
yeah, it's very mixed bag.
Yeah.
I don't think people, I don't think they just understand like art pricing.
Yeah. Well,
I think they understand how rude it comes off.
Oh, that too. There are so many people. There are just so many people that are just so blatantly rude at shows. It's ridiculous. I had somebody literally in front of my booth tell me that the character that was on my poster was not like it was like not Vegeta or something. It was something I think it was Vegeta. They were pointing out like that's not Vegeta. You know, it looks like he's taking a poo. I'm like, dude, what the heck is going on right now? Like, you're critiquing my art and you're at my booth, buddy. Move along.
Dude, the Dragon Ball Bros are the worst. Like, for a while I had a set of 3. I had the classic, Goku,
Yeah.
Piccolo, Vegeta.
Yeah.
But I did them my style, so the ink's a lot heavier and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And routinely, I'd have these bros come up that are, call it, late teens, early 20s, and be like, bro, that's not what Vegeta looks like. That's not what Goku looks like. Like, sorry, I didn't draw them exactly like the anime, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not Toriyama. I don't know what you want. What do you want?
Yeah, no, I get that a lot too. Or like recently I've started, if I am drawing at the booth, I'll have people come right up and look at, like, for some reason the power armor is what does it. They're always like, well, that's AI. And I'm literally drawing in front of them. I'm like, no, I drew that. And they're like, no, you can tell it's AI. And I'm like, bro, I am literally, this is me drawing. I drew that. It took me like 70 hours to draw that.
Wow.
Like, yeah, and it's insane.
Although, you know what? I don't, I mean, I guess you could kind of take it as a compliment. People think that's that good. That
I think you're a robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the same exact vein, I would almost be like, okay, that maybe not really. That's kind of a backhanded compliment.
Right. Well, it's also one of those things where I draw live on TikTok, and the amount of people that get on there and insult you, it's insane.
Wow, really? I was just gonna ask how is live streaming on TikTok?
So I went viral a couple years ago on TikTok. So I have
Nice.
a fairly large following there.
Yeah.
It does not translate into money. So one of the most ridiculous things that I've heard someone accuse me of is they say that I take longer to draw things because I am trying to make more money off of my live streams. If they knew how little you actually make off your live streams, they would not say that. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Dude, that's
yeah, they're like, you just take your time so that you can make more money off of TikTok. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Anyway, it doesn't translate into sales. And you basically get the absolute worst of Gen Z to get onto your streams. It's basically what you get.
yikes.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, and then it becomes more of like a job. So like, when it was like banned for like a whole 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, oh, thank God. It's like one less thing that I was like, oh, thank God I have one less thing to update every day, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's social media is tough with.
Right. And unfortunately for us, you have to post stuff. You have to stay relevant, unfortunately. And
Yep.
but yeah, no, I think I've been disparaged about my looks more on TikTok than anywhere else. I think I've been my art has been critiqued more on TikTok and than anywhere else. And it'll get stolen more on TikTok than anywhere else.
What do you mean? Like they're stealing your videos, or?
They'll steal your videos. They will steal. Actually, one of my other friends right now is dealing with somebody. I don't know how they got a hold of his actual art. I don't know if they took a screenshot and then they printed it out on a cheap canvas or what.
Yeah.
But they are filming videos of him. Basically, they don't show his face, but they're filming videos of him turning around a canvas, and it's my buddy's painting, and it's getting hundreds of thousands of views, but it's my buddy's painting.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's no way to report him because it's all ghost accounts. But he's doing it to all these different fandoms. So like he's doing Fallout right now, but he's taking the art of Fallout. Like there's a book that Bethesda has actually like published, and he's taking pictures from the book, printing them out on canvases and turning them around like, I painted this, no one will appreciate it. And he's getting hundreds of thousands of views on them.
Dude,
And he does it for everything. He's done like Red Dead Redemption, Fallout, Skyrim. He's doing it for like a bunch of stuff. So like everything, I've gotten in the habit. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but like when even right now, I constantly keep my hand in front of like my art that I'm drawing. So you can't screen grab it. You can't screenshot it and then take the file. My hand is constantly in front of it. Anything I post, including in progress, has obnoxious watermarks all over it. I did a portrait of Prince last year, I think it was. And when I post my finished ones, grab a print or whatever, I usually post the finished thing on a wood background, and then it's got a watermark. Well, somebody has taken that finished thing on top of a wood background with my watermark and is selling it as a print. But they're selling that picture. So they're selling the picture that I took of my picture.
With the watermark.
With the watermark.
That's insane.
It's absolutely insane. So, and there's no way to regulate that. There's no way to report it because it's not American, first of all, because it's owned by China. So there's no way to report any of these things. TikTok was the first place that I had impersonation accounts happen. I had an account pretend to be me, and then I had another account pretend to be me starting an OnlyFans account using my face, which was super fucked up. It's awful, honestly. That's why I was like, when they were like, we're shutting it down, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Wow. That's insane. Yeah. I mean, the piracy stuff, like my wife does 3D printing and we have the exact same problem. Like basically, these people from China, whatever it is, or the Philippines or wherever they're from, I don't know. They literally like they're stealing these people's files, their 3D print files, and mass producing them, and then completely washing out the 3D print market. Which we don't really have a problem doing here in the States, to be honest with you. But it's just crazy to me. And like, all of these 3D creators, 3D artists are like, like there's not really much we could do except for report these things on these platforms like Temu and stuff, because they're not selling them legally because it's against our creative license usage.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's gotten so bad that even Disney is stealing people's stuff.
Yeah, I've been following this guy on TikTok.
You see this?
Yeah, and he's like he's given up at this point because he's like, at this point, like, the amount of energy it would take to sue Disney into giving me any profits of this would not be worth it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's a very weird thing I don't know what this is supposed to be or what it's from.
And what do you do with that? How do you fight something that big?
Yeah. You don't. You don't. You write them a letter and you tell them, hey, that's my intellectual property that I created. But they claim that because it's fan art, it's theirs.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I fall with a lot of this stuff, is like there's a lot of grace flying around Comic Cons in general with the fact that what we do technically falls under parody.
Yeah.
I actually talked to a rep from Disney that told me that like they can technically shut people down and you could probably win if you went to court, but you don't have the time or money to fight Disney. Right. Most of the time, they're really just targeting people that are bad for the brand. But they have so much now. I mean, between Marvel, Star Wars, all the Disney properties. At this point, I feel like if someone stole one of my images, that was technically like a fan art thing, I probably can't be too mad.
Right. And that's the other issue too, right? Is if people are stealing something that you're kind of already swiping in a way, it's. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right, but
Oh,
in the
it's
same
technically
sense.
legal what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a matter of like, if Disney wanted to make my life hell, they could.
Yeah.
Right. Right. If Bethesda wanted to snag me, I mean, they could.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time or energy or money to fight them. Chris says, just the other month I had to deal with an Amazon seller selling all my stuff on pillows and shower curtains. It took me about 1 month to get them all down. They all kept my watermark and signature.
That's
See, something like that, I would have an issue because I know Chris does a lot of his own stuff, like with the cryptids. That's like, it's very public domainy. Like,
yeah.
you know, he's not like he's doing Frankenstein. Well, even Frankenstein's technically public domain, as long as you don't do the Universal Monster version.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
So that I would take more issue with, like if someone was taking like, you know, my dragons or knights that I've done, I would have more of an issue. But yeah, like all the fan art stuff. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's upsetting. I don't like that it happens. I just I don't know.
I'm actually thinking, like, after I get this scanned, I'm gonna play with this tomorrow. I have some gold leaf,
There you go.
but it doesn't scan well, so I'll have to wait until tomorrow to do it.
I got in this bad habit of not signing any of my art, so that way I could put the Steve Messenger logo on the print. And then I do a live sale with a certain comic shop, Clay McDonald Comics, and forget that all my stuff's not signed.
Oops.
Whoops. And then Dana has to send me stuff and I have to sign it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I had to
Sorry,
do that
Dana.
with me too. She's like, "You didn't even sign this," and I'm like, "Oh crap."
That's funny.
Oh, it's funny though, is like when I was there at the shop, I sat there and I signed all of the originals that were in my like 9x12s and 11x17s. Just like, I know I didn't do it. I don't even know if these are gonna sell. We're just signing them, whatever. I was very fortunate that like they after you do the live sale, anything that didn't sell, they'll put it up on Facebook for claims. People have like 2 more days to claim it. Well, a bunch of sketch covers got claimed. Sweet. Cool. Go get those out of storage, pack them up, ship them out. Didn't even think twice about checking to see if there were signatures on them. None of them had signatures.
Yeah, yikes.
Sorry, Dana. Sorry, Dana.
I gotta get some printing done. I gotta hop off here, guys.
Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to pop on, feel free. Hit me up. She turned out great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's good colors. It's like the hair.
Where are you gonna put that gold leaf?
On the junctions here, we'll probably try and cover up some of the streaky parts. Oh, this is like mirrored, isn't it? On some of the streaky parts over here, and then on the junctions, we'll put some of the gold leaf on where it's switching colors. This is mirrored, so it's screwing up where I'm pointing. But yeah.
Very good.
That'll be sweet.
Very cool. And we will see you
next week.
God, it's so weird to think it's next week.
Yeah, I know.
I feel so unprepared.
Oh, fucking same.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great night. Thanks for hanging out.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Yeah, I knew this day was coming, right? Where like I'm gonna have to leave my house and I'm gonna be gone for almost 2 weeks. And for the most part, I'd say I'm prepared for it.
Yeah.
But there's a few things like in the horror prints, like I didn't think to inventory all my horror prints, so there's a couple I'm low on.
Yeah.
Like Jason.
Yeah, I gotta do all my inventory still. I haven't touched my inventory since probably late November, early December.
No. Yeah, and then the next bit is excuse me, is that like typically when I travel, I take my printer with me so I could print all my other prints, like have them on demand, ready to go.
Yeah.
Like if I know I'm running low on something that night back at the hotel, print 10 more, 20 more, whatever it is. Now that I'm doing these canvas prints, it's pretty much whatever I can cram in the van.
Yeah.
Because the only way I can do more of these is if because of space, is if I just print the canvas and then hope to God that I can find a craft store that has the canvas frames.
Yeah.
Takes up too much room. So I don't know. We will see. I can't say I've ever been to Orlando. Maybe when I was when I was a baby. The only time that my family went to is it Disneyland down there in Florida? Or is it Disney World?
I don't know.
Someone told me a way to remember which one's which.
Yeah, I know. I have family that go to both, so you think I'd know? No idea.
Yeah, there's apparently we went when we were real little. I was real little, and I was a baby, so I have no memories whatsoever. And apparently, my grandfather thought it was hilarious to get pictures of. He would take me and put like different statues would be posed different ways. He would put me like in their arm. Nothing like a little child endangerment, just get like up on this 8-foot statue and put this baby up there. It's probably fine.
Yeah, you're good.
We have clarification. It's Disney World.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, is that it's going to be absolutely crazy down there. That's the resort I'm staying at is less than half a mile. So
nice.
I'm hoping. That's like my biggest concern is like having never done it, knowing how busy it is down there, how crazy it is, and that.
Well, a half a mile take you 20 minutes to get there.
I mean, and who knows what the weather is going to be like? Is it going to be raining?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, man. Well, good luck, dude. Good luck.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure it will be fine. You gonna call? What was that? Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Oh, good.
That came through the stream. Sorry about that.
All good. There are certainly worse things that could come through. So yeah, we'll see about all that. I don't know. The big one that's kind of thrown me off is because these Ninja Turtle voice actors are going to be at Big Lake this weekend. I've only got so much space to pack like specialty Ninja Turtle stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if I've ordered enough, if I've overkilled it. Like the Ninja Turtle skateboards that I've got.
Yeah.
Luckily they came in time, but like I've got a crap ton of those skateboards. I don't know if I have enough to make it through both shows.
Yeah.
If I don't, it's a good problem, but we'll see.
Yeah, man. That's interesting. That's interesting.
There was one thing that Mikel had brought up that I think this will be a good conversation to kind of round out the back end of the show here before we call it an evening.
Oh yeah.
She talked about how on TikTok, how she gets critiqued a lot. When was the last time you had a proper art critique? I haven't had one in a long time.
Proper? Yeah, probably not since my critiques with Ryan and Carlos Dienda when I was in Comic Pro Boot Camp. That was last year. Yeah, no, it's been a while. I mean, I get critiques.
Like drive-bys.
Yeah. I get
that's great. That sucks. That's great. That's awful. That kind of crap.
Sometimes I'll ask for a critique. But I'll get like an almost backhanded critique. If that makes sense. Where the critique,
what do you mean?
Where the critique will be just like basically you suck, right? and it'll be like that'll be it. It'll be like, oh, you suck, and this is why you suck, and then you'll be like, well, it's not really what I was going for, but thanks for the really bad draw over.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, yeah, it's critiquing it is its own art form. I will admit that it is its own art form. Not everybody can critique, properly, and I think there's also that level of where you are at, where you think you are at, and where the other person critiquing you is at too, right? That
Yeah.
kind of takes in effect as well. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think to clarify here, Chris it as proper. I would define a proper critique as someone isn't just saying it's good or it's bad. It's going to be from all the technicality standpoints. From is it an interesting piece? Is it dynamic? Did you mess up the anatomy? Color scheme, shadows, lights, secondary light sources, all those things that you're kind of hoping when you get done drawing that hopefully no one notices if it's a shortcoming,
Yeah,
or things that you're like, man, I really nailed that. I hope that's like the focal point.
yeah,
Um, hearing that from somebody that uh, knows what the hell they're talking about.
yeah. Right.
So my thought on it is I know I should go get something critiqued. I have been in a very different mentality lately with producing art, though. It is lately when I'm working on my books, it's like I'm putting a lot of thought into it. I want it to hit. I want it to be, that's me making art. A
Yeah.
lot of times when I'm making stuff for prints, or if I'm making, just being brutally honest here, like when I'm making stuff to sell on live streams, it's like I know relatively what will sell, and I just want to hit on those marks. It may not be a banger of a piece from a checking all the appropriate boxes that a critique would come with. It's more or less like if I'm drawing a pinup, does she have a pretty face and does it look right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does
Right.
the color pop?
Does the color pop, and is the awesome factor there?
Right.
Right. Sometimes even and sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
But even Todd himself has been like, the anatomy doesn't have to be 100%, but the wow factor has to be there, right?
Yeah.
Um,
The
like,
proper critique will tell you that too. They'll be like, yeah, your arm's a little wonky, but it looks great from this angle, so we give it a pass.
yeah, right, exactly, right,
Yeah.
and it is too, right, like interpretive as well, right, and when you're getting a proper critique, you have to keep in mind, you know, that person's style compared to how you would like to see things is also very very big thing to keep in mind when you're critiquing someone too,
Yeah.
because you could have completely different styles, right?
Have you ever critiqued someone's artwork?
Once, I want to say once. It's been a while actually since I had somebody ask.
Was
I
it at a show?
Was it at a show or was that on Facebook? I don't remember. It's been a while. Like I said,
Yeah.
was that on Facebook or was that a show? But yeah, I will not critique someone unless they actually ask me for critique, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of bold to just start giving that information.
Yeah, right. And sometimes though, so if you're on my Facebook group where it's drawing comics and manga, and we're all here to get better at drawing comics and manga, I'll point out things like
Yeah.
like, hey, this looks really cool, but there's a couple of issues with your line weights are a little flat. It could be you could be a little more add a little bit extra line weight here in the shadows, or your shadows are a little bit off, but it looks really good. But usually, right, when I'm giving somebody a critique, I'm I'm being mindful of where they think their piece is at as best as I can, and trying to just say like make it like what's going to make this piece go from where it's at to where it needs to be, at your skill level,
Right.
right? And I'm never there's one thing, and this is the one thing that bothers me. When someone gives somebody a critique and they just say, you need to go back to your fundamentals.
Mhm.
Okay, there are 50 fundamentals. Which fundamental do you want me to go back to? You can't just say go back to the fundamentals and then not be specific about exactly what you're talking about, because that's very much a slap in someone's face. Like, oh yeah, I didn't just spend the last 3 years of my life practicing my fundamentals or whatever. For you to just be like, your fundamentals suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a couple of people that wanted a good, honest critique at a show.
Yeah.
And uh, it's one thing if you just want. I love looking at art. So if someone has like, oh yeah, I like to draw, I'll ask them like, what do you like to draw?
Yeah.
Oh, I like to make my own characters. Now, if I say, really, can I see? I'm not critiquing unless you if I'm asking you to get out your phone and find pictures for me, I'm not going to be like, your hands look weird.
Yeah. Right.
You know. So I've had a handful of people ask for critiques. I more commonly get people asking for their overall like portfolio layout.
Yeah.
Like there was a gal at one of the tattoo shows a couple years ago. She wanted to be a tattoo apprentice. I'm like, okay. And I noticed she was holding a portfolio. I was like, is that your portfolio? She's like, yeah. I'm like, have you shown it to anyone yet? It's like, no. Like, would you like me to take a look at it? I'm not a tattoo artist, and you have nothing to gain employment wise from talking to me.
Yeah.
So I talked to her a little bit, and I gave her some pointers as far as like, you got like 80 pieces of art in here. I would get it down to like 20 of your absolute best.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, right? All of her stuff was really, really strong. She had a few pieces that looked like maybe they were holdovers from high school, whereas she had gone to college for fine arts, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then I'm like hesitant to even do critiques now, because there's a kind of person that has rebuttals for anything that's critical.
Yeah.
So you try to start off with some positive, like, hey, that turned out really great. This part looks really cool. You really nailed this. All right, let's talk about what you need to work on. This character in this frame, I'm thinking of a certain comic page that they put together. I won't give details just in case this person is watching later. I haven't seen them in probably 2 years now, but the one hero that they had drawn looked amazing.
Yeah.
Probably used a reference. Everything else on that page looked several, if you want to talk about grades, like K through 12 to college. If that face looked college level, everything else looked like junior high level. So you're talking about fundamentals. It's like, okay, none of your styles match. Your anatomy's all wrong. There's no perspective. Everything's super flat. And everything had a rebuttal. Well, this isn't a finished piece. This is just the pencils. I still need to ink this. I said, okay. Like, even if you ink this, it's not going to magically turn this into an amazing piece of art.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I told them, I said, if you can get consistent with how you drew this first panel, that you put a lot of rendering into, you can tell this person had been practicing their cross hatching and everything else. I'm like, you can make it. I said, but you are inconsistent. And I'm feeling a bit bamboozled that you asked me to critique a piece and then you show me an unfinished pencil sheet. And you're going to hide behind that for everything that I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Don't ask me for a critique.
Right.
So I think looping back to what I said earlier, it's like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now, I don't necessarily want to critique because I'm in production mode. I'm not in like sit down and really like capture a piece. It's I need to make art. I need to make images. And ultimately I need to make product so I can sell it. Is it good enough to sell? That's what I'm operating on right now.
Yeah.
It's weird to say that being in our world. Is it good enough to sell?
Well, I mean, yeah, we are a business, and in some in some instances, we have to pump things out, right? For
Yeah.
the next thing, the next place we're going, the next project, whatever. And sometimes we don't always have time to look back on what we're doing.
Yeah.
As long as it looks good and we think it could sell it, sometimes that's enough. Now,
Yeah.
if you're building something that's for a portfolio and you're building it for like Marvel or DC, and you're like, I really need this to be perfect, then yeah, it's a good time to get a critique, right? And be like, yeah, where does this land, right? But like you said, you're in a kind of a different mode then. You know what I mean?
Let's for fun here. We're gonna go back to my brooding post high school phase. Let me find a quick. I'm going on to my old DeviantArt. Now, granted, I got back into DeviantArt probably around 2016 or 17, trying to post a few things, but quickly realized like
Yeah.
I'm done on here.
Yeah, DeviantArt does not. I don't. It's very interesting that there's people still on there. They do not do a good job of bringing in customers for artists in any way.
Yeah. The early on when I first got on, there was this culture of like you have to like if you're climbing up the ranks as an artist, you should be liking and commenting on just as many other people's artwork as yours is.
Yeah.
So if you're getting 30 likes and 30 comments, you should be liking and commenting on 30 others. There's actually a counter that people can look at to see how much you engage with other people.
Oh wow. That
So let's see here. This would be around 07, 08. There we go. This was like one of the first pieces, complete finished pieces that I really put a lot of time into. Let me share this. I actually was still in it. Yo, we're live, Michael. What's
we
up,
are
buddy?
live, dude. What's up?
Yeah, we're gonna look at some old art here. I actually think I still have a couple of these prints in my bin. When I first started doing art full time, I was still selling these. So this is, I can't make it much bigger. Oh, there we go. I played a lot of Diablo back in the day. So this is my version of a necromancer raising zombies. This was on, I think, a 16 by 20.
Oh wow.
And at the time, I knew what I didn't like about it, but I also knew that I put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, you put a lot of detail on that. That's. I mean, the detail is impressive.
Yeah, and you can feel free to critique as you wish, because this is me from 16 years ago, 17 years ago.
Nice.
Oh, are we getting some TRL shout outs?
Right now, this would be nice.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. I know what like I would tell me back then, but right off the rip, do you have any critiques for this piece?
So it's a fantasy piece, right? It seems like it's a fantasy mixed
like a medieval
with
fantasy,
zombieism kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
My question would be, why is the character so large, right, versus the other characters? But I don't know if that's a artistic choice or if that's something else.
So this is clipped because I think the image was too big to upload back then.
Oh, okay.
These are zombies coming out of the ground.
Oh, okay.
So like down here, you can see this little face, and then even this guy in the foreground, he's like pushing himself up out of a dirt hole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the detail is impressive on this. I think if I were just to say anything like this, what is that? His left hand definitely sticks out a little bit. Like the hand anatomy there on that one's little,
You're talking over here,
like stubby fingers. No, the other one. Yeah, the other one. It's got like stubby fingers there.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a ton sticks out here, honestly. I mean, it's pretty solid piece. Actually.
It's
overall.
Yeah, overall, not bad, especially for young, angsty post high school Steve.
Yeah, dude.
Not that I got any less angsty.
Yeah, man.
I just don't have the
I
patience to do
love
this shit.
that, like, the ram heads. Those are sick. Those are really cool on that.
Thank you.
I'm assuming they're ram heads. They might be like mini dragon heads or something.
Something.
Yeah,
Little monster
they look
heads.
cool. They look cool. Uh, but yeah, overall, I mean, the guy's pose is a little weird, I will say, but yeah, I don't know. Overall, the details really, really caked the piece on this one.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think what I would tell me back then is that I did not embrace this dark value enough.
Ah, yes,
I was so afraid to go with heavy black areas.
yeah,
And I kind of use it through here, which I think works well to kind of differentiate in depth with all these characters.
yeah,
Um, but I think to draw the focus to him more in the center is having more contrast. Anytime you got more contrast on something and more detail, that's where your eyes go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
back then, I used 2 pens. I used like a brush. I don't know, maybe it's a chisel marker to do some of these heavy blacks.
Mhm.
Everything else was the 0.005 micron.
Okay, you go crazy with the detail there.
Which is why I don't do this anymore because it takes forever.
Yeah, this piece probably took you a long time. Yeah, definitely.
It was like every night after work, I was getting home like around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I would work till like 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
Just hammering this stuff out. Um,
yeah, yeah, I would agree with you a little bit. The values could be a little bit. You can have more darks in the back to bring forward some of the more lights in the front.
no.
Uh,
Well, and especially separating. So like here, you're supposed to see that like that's the back of some other monster crawling out behind him. Like all that does is muddy up this whole space.
yeah, yeah.
And as much detail as there is here, like
Right. We lose a little bit. There's no difference in value in that area that you
yeah,
see
it
what's
almost would have been better if there was another zombie coming out in front of him to give more depth, like these things are coming out from everywhere.
right, right.
Because if I remember correctly, the finished piece, I think like the bottom 3 inches of the page was just grass.
Oh,
There was nothing else down there,
that's funny.
which is probably why I clipped it where I did.
Yeah.
if I'm remembering. But yeah, I mean, I was using a lot of Diablo influence. So like, if you took off this armor, this dude is real thin.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a stick, which is fine. You can have that in a fantasy setting, especially with like a necromancer. But even then, the anatomy is close. I think the hand over here, he was supposed to be doing like a energy grab kind of thing. But to your
okay.
point, like if I had to use some darker values or something and really sold that his hand was really curled,
Yeah,
I tried to like give some difference between his hand and the tree. So I left like that weird glow around it.
yeah.
Is that supposed to be energy? What is that?
Right.
Nowadays, I would just go in like with a white gel pen and put some accents on there to make that side pop more.
Yep. Yep.
And on top of that, if this tree is supposed to be in the background, it probably shouldn't have as much detail as he does.
Yeah.
But I was using a lot of Gustave Doré influence. Are you familiar with Gustave?
Yeah, you talked about him on a previous live stream. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was even trying to replicate like in the sky using lines for
Yeah.
the values in the sky. And then I was like, that doesn't work. So I started scribbling pencil in.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't really work.
Yeah. That style is a very tough one to pull off. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, with Gustav stuff, he did do some like ink wash in there too. I did not know what an ink wash was back then.
Yeah.
And even if I did, I'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, not a bad piece. I actually sold a print of it recently.
Oh wow.
That was somebody asked me if I like dark medieval stuff. I'm like, let me see if I might still have one.
That's crazy.
Because yeah, when I started doing this for fun back in 2015, I didn't have a stockpile of art that I had freshly done. So I dug out stuff from 10 years prior.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that was one. Lots of old Steve stuff. This was one of the first original art pieces I sold at a show. This was it was supposed to be a piece for it's a Vampire Masquerade, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. There was one of these like tabletop gaming things that their supplemental books had very ink heavy artwork. And so this is supposed to be a vampire down here biting somebody while he's trying to get information from this dude.
Yeah.
And this couple walks up and they're looking through my book. And the gal's like, "Look, honey, it's a zombie. You love zombies." And they're like, "We'll take it." I'm like,
Sure.
like, yeah, it's a zombie. Why not? It's a zombie.
Yeah.
So
That's funny.
I don't know. We don't have to critique a whole lot of more of this, but I was starting to embrace some harder dark values.
Yeah.
Just inconsistently.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's not bad. Yeah, I would say with this one, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the perspective on this piece.
Oh, it's completely made up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very mishy-mushy, but I mean, you still read what is happening in the scene for the most part. So yeah, no, it's not bad.
Yeah, I think the one thing that Ryan Benjamin would definitely bring up, as well as some other artists that are well versed in inking, is that none of my cross hatching here it doesn't render into the light.
Yeah.
It's just kind of all over to create
Yeah,
texture.
you're using cross hatching almost as like a value change type of situation, but
Yeah, which is interesting. It's a lot to look at.
Yeah.
It gives it its own kind of thing, but it's also kind of a pain in the ass.
yeah. Yeah, and it's tough too because I mean, with the way that you did some of it, like on this the vampire in the front's like head, right? It almost makes his head look like he's got a texture, which is probably why people thought it was a zombie.
Yeah.
It gives his head a texture versus, making it look like, he's just, a bald vampire.
Yeah. No, it was supposed to. Some of this was supposed to be like blood splatter on him, but like
Oh.
the horizontal lines, though,
Yeah.
with the vertical lines, it definitely gives it more of a
Yeah.
So, and the dude in the right was a subtle self insert. I had dreads back in the day.
Nice.
I changed it up a little bit
See that.
for the profile, but he had my hair for sure and sideburns. Anyways, Michael says most recent comic artist to achieve the over rendering but still was able to separate elements is Mark Silvestri and Batman and the Joker Deadly duo. If you get the unplugged version, B&W galore.
Yeah, it's sick.
I'll have to check that. I know Silvestri and Bat, they were two of my earliest like hyper detailed, hyper heavy ink influence on my style with the Darkness back in the day.
Yeah.
The amount of detail those dudes would put in, holy smokes.
Yep. Still to this day, my friend. Still doing to this day.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm afraid to click around on DeviantArt too much because Lord knows what you will see. All of my stuff was relatively safe.
But furry stuff.
Dude, it's buck wild.
Wow, you got a lot of stuff on yours, huh? I maybe have like 4 or 5 pieces of mine that's old. It's not a big one for me.
Yeah, I had some luck early on with a couple pieces that were getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
A lot for me back in the day was like 40.
I'm surprised that you didn't lean more into the concept art stuff. I'm seeing a lot of like concept-y art style stuff in some of these.
Early on, I really wanted to be like the D&D guy.
Yeah.
This is one of my more popular pieces that I had. This like Dark Knight guy. He actually ended up in a card game.
Nice.
But I don't know. It was one of those things like I had a portfolio critique at a college. They had Derek Hess there,
Okay.
along with one of the professors, and they flat out told me like I was maybe a couple years out of high school, working full time, trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life, and they had given me a lot of positive feedback, and I think at that time I needed someone to
Slap
give me
across the
harsh.
Yeah, give you a little slap.
I think they didn't want to upset me because I think they really wanted me to go to that college. I didn't realize it was a recruitment effort. It actually wasn't even a recruitment effort. Let me rephrase this. I have a buddy back in the day. He was one of my roommates, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I heard that they're doing this portfolio review at it must have been the Cleveland Institute of Art. Um, I think that's what it was." So I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm like, at that point, I was kind of like giving up on art because I was just miserable trying to make it work.
Yeah.
We stood in this line, and as we're standing there, I'm starting to realize that this isn't just for anybody. This is for students of that school.
Oh, that's funny.
And I don't think I even had like a proper portfolio. I think I literally just had one of my sketchbooks. And we get it up there, and Derek, he's like a staple in the Cleveland scene. Like he's done like band like promo flyers for like the biggest bands that have come through Cleveland.
Yeah, that's cool.
He has stuff that's like in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that's hanging out. At any rate, I think because they found out that I wasn't going to school there, they were like trying to recruit me, so I don't think they wanted to piss me off.
Yeah.
But I think if they would have been a lot more difficult, like with their critique and like, hey, dude, like this is cool, but you need to do this, and if you're inconsistent at best.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I would have found a way to go to college, but I sure as hell couldn't afford it back then.
No, dude. I couldn't afford the $100 application fee, so I never went.
Dude, art school back then was like $80,000 to $90,000 for your 4 years, which
Yeah,
nowadays that's like normal. But
Yeah.
back then,
yeah, Art Institute. When I was looking, I think it was about 70 for a full degree. It was like,
yeah.
what?
It's funny. It was around that same time I actually saw Will Smith I think I told this story already. I saw Will Smith at a heavy metal show. His
Oh, that's
wife was in a heavy metal band called Wicked Wisdom. It would have been exactly around this time. Will Smith could have walked down to the mosh pit and slapped some sense into me. Yeah, Jada, she was in
had no
Wicked
idea.
Wisdom. They opened for Seven Dust, and Will Smith had one half of the balcony up top of the House of Blues.
Wow.
And it was the weirdest thing, man. Like most celebrities are like, oh, hey, that was so and so. Oh, hey, that was Topanga from Boy Meets World. There she goes. Whatever.
Yeah.
Will Smith was like, there were people down in the mosh pit that would stop moshing and just look up and be like, Will Smith. Like it was wild.
That is funny, dude.
Anytime that there was a pause at the end of a song, like they're getting ready for the next, everyone would just be looking up at Will, and he's just sitting there, arms over the chairs, just hanging out,
That's
completely ignoring the fact that everybody in the room's still staring at him.
Yeah. Wow.
Huh. But
Interesting. I have a newfound interest in Jada Smith. I had no idea.
it wasn't very good.
No. All right, never mind then.
But they did stick around for most of the show.
That's cool.
Let's see. Let's look at one more page here. Walk down memory lane here, and then we'll call it a night.
Yeah.
This was my first foray into color. Like actually color. I was doing this BS thing where like I would I'll show you real quick. I would just play with the color grade.
Yeah.
And I actually like it for this piece better where like BSing some trees in the background just to kind of sell the depth or whatever.
That's cool.
But this whole color gradient thing, Not a good move. Shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
Should have
learn.
actually learned to color some shit.
Yeah, you learn.
And then what else we got? Tiny guy on a big horse playing with Photoshop filters. But I don't know. If you want to take a walk down Steve's early foray into trying to be an artist, is Clear Harm at Deviant Art.
Your harm. Nice.
Clear Harm. I was so edgy. I was like, what are two edgy words I could stick together?
Mine was like something stupid, like Music Man 555 or something stupid like that.
There you go.
I don't even
Yeah. This is
figure out-
actually drew this one at work. This is on the back of a like a weight sheet for stuff I had to weigh every day.
That's cool, man.
But yeah, any rate, folks, it's been real fun. Are you giving me a DeviantArt follow?
There you go.
There's still a lot of big name artists that post on there.
That's crazy.
Really digging the art, but that edgelord name, bro. Just so you're just there are pictures floating around the internet. I think I might have actually found some actual photos. I'll have to post them at some point.
Yeah, I want to see.
Dude, I was so freaking skinny back then. I had a very manual labor job and I couldn't afford to eat, really.
Yeah.
So I would weigh myself every day and I would float around in a uniform around 165 to 170.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was just as tall as I am now.
Yeah,
I was a freaking
man.
stick.
That's crazy. I haven't been 160 since I was married.
Yeah. Hey,
I don't want to tell you what I'm at now. So
I don't even know where I'm at now. Yeah. Well, Michael, yeah, use that as your inspiration, man. Take a look at what I was doing back in 2003, 20 years ago, 21 years ago, 22 years ago. And then look at now, and it's like, we learn, we get better. You should update your stuff, man.
Yeah, I created a whole new page. I don't even have to log in anymore for my old one.
I had to hunt around. Like, I don't think it's been auto saved on this now since I've updated it. But so folks, here's the idea. This weekend I leave for Big Lick down in Roanoke, and then from there I'm going straight down to Orlando for MegaCon. I do not know if I'm going to be able to live stream. Number one, because I don't know how long the show goes. But then number two, I don't know if I'm going to have internet. And then number three, I'm usually really hungry once the show's done. So I don't know. We'll see. I will keep you guys posted if we're going to do a live show. I am thinking it.
Video.
Yeah, I might just make a couple of side videos to upload, like the walkthrough video, that sort of thing. Because I just don't think I'm going to have time or the wherewithal to do a live stream.
Yeah.
But you got any closing notes, James? Anything you want to direct people to?
No closing notes this week. I don't have anything big happening.
You got a whatnot coming up?
Not for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I am hammering out some sketch cards right now. I think I said this last week, but I'm about several months behind at this point. I have a 4-piece sketch card set that's due mid-February and a 12-piece sketch set that I'm just about finishing up. I got 3 more cards to color, and then I have another 12-piece sketch set that I need to do, which is due before March. So, yeah, dude, I'm just gonna be knocking it out, trying to knock out some other pieces. I'm working on this Magneto piece for fun.
Nice.
So that one's coming along, and that's my go-to. I need to take a break from this baloney right now piece.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I got nothing else going on, man. Give me a follow on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, whatever pleases your fancy. The Sketching the Beast.
You got it, man. Well, folks, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Chris, I will see you down in MegaCon very soon. And we'll keep you all posted. I'll try to make some updates. Otherwise, I really appreciate you hanging out, and we will see you next time.
Peace out. Good luck.
Peace. See ya. See ya. Bye.